All right, cool. All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. I got the elder Yatazak with me. I'm the brother Aina from GMS Dallas, and we're continuing on the series of 2 Samuel. And we did last time 2 Samuel chapter 17, so we're doing chapter 18 today. And pretty much, if you watched the last video, it went into how basically Absalom was preparing the battle, preparing a way to overtake his father David. And we're going to see what happens next. So Lord willing, this is edifying history, get some precepts, get some commentary. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. And
another thing you want to take from this, man, honor thy father and thy mother, man.
Right.
It's always something spiritual that you can take from these accounts. You see what I'm saying? Now, had Absalom, I would say if Absalom would have been bad as a child, he would have got stoned. You see what I'm saying? He would have got to be that old. But at the end of the day, all the precepts, all the commandments apply. You know what I'm saying? And you find different situations to where you can apply those to where you like, you know what? Like, bro, you dishonor your father, you dishonor your mother. Like, the Lord will jack you up for that, man. You see? Just keep that in mind, man. I would say it's so many different ways to go off. It's so many different ways to go off, man. And we get all these accounts. So you just adultery with Absalom, adultery. Don't honor your father. The list goes on. Murder, all kind of stuff. You see? So just keep those things in mind, man.
Right. I got a precept here. This is Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You see? And
that's plain.
Yeah.
It's plain.
Yep. Kind of.
You got it.
Yep. And some individuals, you train them up the right way and do everything the right way, and they still go off. And they still end up, becoming demons, right? Like the Lord likened us unto Sodom's children. The Lord likened us unto a more hard-headed than an ox and more hard-headed than a donkey, which are two animals that are known for being stubborn. The Lord said that the ox knoweth his owner and the ass his master's crib. Okay, but we don't, as a nation, we don't adhere to our master. You see how Bashem Yahushua as a nation. So some things, like the scriptures also say, why should thou be stricken anymore? Some things is like, man, it doesn't matter how many times you whoop their ass, they're not going to get it. And so ultimately, as you can see from the title of this chapter, Absalom slain, he had to be taken out of the way. Okay. And because there's only so much bullshit that the Lord is going to tolerate. Case in point, look at Saul. It was only so much BS that the Lord was going to tolerate from Saul, so much disobedience that the Lord was going to tolerate until he said, you know what, man, to hell with this guy, Saul. It repented me that I made him king. I'm going to make another man king. You see?
Right. So the elder Apostle Gabar always says it, when the Lord is long suffering, but once the judgment comes, it's fast and brutal. That boy got destroyed.
Man,
yeah. And we've been waiting on this chapter through the Spirit. What I'm saying?
For real, yeah. We're like, man, is this the chapter? Okay, we got 2 more chapters left.
Man.
Yep. So here we go, man. It says 2 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 1. And David numbered the people that were with him, which this was a army tactic. You would have to count up how many men were ready to fight, right? It says, and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. All right, we did the same thing in the wilderness. We would have, men that were captains of thousands, of captains of hundreds, and captains over 10, or captains over 50.
That started with Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Let that sink in.
Yep.
Right. Go ahead.
Kind. It says in verse 2, and David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and the third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and the third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. It says, and the king said unto the people, surely, I will surely go forth with you myself also. Now I wanted to pull this up real quick because it was how I love my illustrations. This is a illustration of basically some important names in David's family tree. I want to make sure y'all can see. Okay, cool. And so you have obviously Jesse, right? Which Jesse had multiple sons that are not listed here. Okay, but of course David is one of them, and then two more of them are Zeruiah, right? One of them is Zeruiah, and you have Joab is listed here, the son of Zeruiah. Okay, and then you have Asahel. Okay, now again, Joab is David's nephew. Okay, and then you have Abishai, Joab, and Asahel. So Asahel was the one that was killed by Abner, and then you have Abishai. Okay, so that's why David made these two men. These were mighty, great men. These two men were made to be David's captains of David's hosts. Okay, and then you had the third. I think it was what was it? Go back here. The third was Ittai the Gittite. Okay, and so the king said, David said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also, because David, he was ready to fight. He was ready to go to the war. And this wasn't the first time, by the way, where notice this isn't the first time where David was willing and ready to go to war against his own people, and he was turned away. The first time that happened was when David and Saul was going to go. Well, really, David was going to fight in the Philistine army against Saul because he was fleeing from Saul. Remember, we went into that. We went into that in 1 Samuel, and then the reason why David was turned away that time was because the Philistines was like, nah, we don't know how we feel about this guy David and his men.
He can turn on us at any time.
You know what I'm saying? And then see how this is the second time this happened. So that's
what was it? When he was finna jack the ball up. Yeah, when he was finna jack the ball up.
Yep.
I can't think of her name right now, but she intervened.
Abigail.
There we go. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it was the Lord was always watching or protecting David from himself at times. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And David would always lean on the Lord, but when it was certain times where he was like, you know what, F this, and then the Spirit would always intervene to keep David at least clean from that blood.
Right. Yeah.
You got it.
It says, verse 3, but the people answered, thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us, neither if half of us die will they care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better that thou succor us out of the city. So basically they were saying, look, we don't think it's a good idea that you come with us. And again, keep in mind, again, David had very experienced military advisors. These guys have been, to war with David multiple times. They were, a lot of these men were amongst David when he slew the Amalekites that, had basically came and, ransacked their homes, and their wives and their possessions when they went out to war with the Philistines. A lot of different things, they experienced a lot of different things in the past. So they were experienced men, and they were saying, look, we don't think it's wise because they're not really gonna stop until they kill you. Like their sole objective is to get rid of you. So we're not even going to have you out there. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, if one of us die, they're not gonna care about that, right? And we all of these men were willing to put their life on the line for King David. So they were saying, look, it'd be better for you if you were to just, be with us in spirit. That's what that word succor. I'll pull it real quick. Get the definition of that word. Succor. This is Strong's H5826. Izar. It says help. Yeah, to help or support. You know, yeah, to aid. Right. So they were like, look, just help us out by falling back. Stay alive. That's your job. We're gonna go out. We're gonna fight. We're gonna do our thing. And so it's a long ass verse. So when you read verse 4, it says, and the king said unto them, because keep in mind, I think what was that city that they had went to? It was on the other side of the Jordan River. I think it might be on this map. It was on the other side of the Jordan River because they had crossed from Jericho. I think it might have been one of these cities, either going to Jericho or past Jericho. I think I have to go back and look, but I know it was on the other side of the Jordan River. So, they had that city. Oh yeah, because actually, let me go back. They talk about that in chapter 17 when the Ammonites, I think it was, that they brought that food out there for them. When David was come to, this city right here. 2 Samuel 17:27, right? It says they came to Mahanaim, which was like a smaller city, or smaller walled city, and then you had the Ammonites, come out and bring, food and all that stuff so that they could rest and be ready and prepare themselves to fight against Jake, right? So they had time to plan, and that was the whole purpose of fleeing, across the river to get there in time. So go back here to chapter 18 again, and verse 4. It says, and the king said unto them, what seemeth you best, I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. Right. So all of the people that was with King David was not a small company. They all went, and all the men, I'll say, were ready to go out and fight. Okay. And the king stayed back. It says in verse 15, and the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. Right. So even now at this point, you see David having mercy and compassion on his son that literally is trying to kill him, and just popped all his women and just usurped authority over his kingdom. And David still was like, hey, look, deal gently with him. You know what I'm saying? Don't kill him. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell David didn't want this. He didn't want this to go down, but he had to flee for his life, right? And so it says, and all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So everybody knew David wasn't on that. Oh yeah, go kill him, go cut his head off, and all this shit. David was really trying to, spare Absalom this whole time. He never wanted any of this to happen, right? And it says, verse 6. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim. So going back to the deal here, I guess you could say somewhere in this area between Gad and Ephraim, on the other side of the Jordan River. Okay, and it says where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David, and you can see it makes the distinction between the people of Israel and the servants of David. Okay, that's why the scripture says, well, that's an example of a precept that we bring out a lot that says they are not all Israel which are of Israel, right? The Israel of the Most High, the elect, those are the ones that are of the house of David, the ones that serve under that house, which not all of them. Some of the individuals that belonged to that house were from Benjamin. Some were from Reuben. Some were from Gad. Not all of them were from Judah. And so it says that Israel was slain before the servants of David, which shows you that who the Lord is dealing with. David because and David's servants because the Lord allowed David's servants to prevail over the other Israelites that were fighting on Absalom's side.
And that's gonna happen again.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's gonna happen again. I want to say Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I want to say the David, the service of David. That's all the service of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. The elect, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's gonna come upon a time. It's gonna come upon a time where another great slaughter is gonna come at the hands of those entities and those men. You got it.
Kind. Yep. Like it says in what was it, Isaiah 60, my servant shall eat. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna thirst. You're gonna be hungry. We're gonna drink, but you're gonna be thirsty, right? A lot of these people that think that that they doing the works of the Lord. Oh, well, actually, I'll get this here. The scripture, workers of iniquity. Apart from me. Okay. Exact. Right. Here we go. This is Luke chapter 13. And let's see here. I'll read verse 26. It says, "Then shall you begin to say, we have eaten and drunk in thy presence, and thou hast taught in our streets." Right? It says, but he shall say, I tell you, I know you not whence ye are. Depart from me. Say again.
And that's the thing. Like you said, the Israel, you got the elect, and then you got the rest of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Let's pull a couple of these comments off pull a couple of these precepts off the comment board.
Okay.
Shalom, Yanaga. Yeah, right. Romans verse 9, chapter 9, verse 6. It says, not as though the word of the Most High had taken none effect, for they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. You see, that division was put in Israel for the Lord's sake. You know, verse 7, it says, neither because they are the seed of Abraham, are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. You see, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. And then that transferred down to Jacob. You see, down to the 12 tribes. But within those 12 tribes, the Lord set that division up, pursuant to Romans 11 and 28. You see, but Isaac being Yahushai for those who can receive it, and Jacob being David for those who can receive it. You see, that house continuously keeps to come up. You see, when David was ruling, he ruled over all Israel eventually. You see, but we reading that all Israel wasn't together like that. It's the same thing today. You got the house of David fighting to do the work of the Lord. You see, fighting not to be carnal against the rest of our people. And it gets just like it got to the point where sometimes David was like, F this, I'm finna ride on this nigga. You know what I'm saying? We feel like that sometimes too. But then the spirit intervened with us. You know, we're in a time now to where shit, you roll up on one of the other Israelite camps on that bull, you might get your ass whooped. Yeah. You see? you try to get caught at the wrong time, man. The Lord will fire your ass up, man. Mm-hmm. Right? Verse 8, it says that they which are the children of the flesh, right? These are not the children of the Most High, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. So it's that difference between Israel. You see it all the way back then. All right. Yep. The only time Israel was all together all together with no beef was under King Solomon. And that was only a matter of time. You see, that kingdom wasn't meant to last.
Right.
And eventually the kingdom was split. You see? Go ahead.
That's right. All right. It says the children of the promise are counted for the seed. Man, that's heavy. Okay, here we go. Going back here. And who's the one that the Most High confirmed his promise with in the times that we're reading about right here? David. Right? Mm-hmm. The chapter after he brought the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem and dedicated basically the entire city to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That was when the Lord said, you know what? Okay, cool. I'm gonna make my covenant with you, and my son, he's gonna come through your loins, right?
What's that precept in the Apocryphal word talk about and it should rest on Jacob?
I'll pull it up real quick.
That's what I'm saying. Jacob being that, well, you constantly hear the house of Israel, which is Jacob, the house of David. You see, when Peter was writing to the churches, he was talking about beloved. David means beloved, the house of David. That's who Peter was writing to. You see?
Yep. Sirach 44 and 22, I believe. Let me go ahead and pull it real quick.
Yeah, that's right, Yanaga. Yeah. King David ruled for 40 years. And then Solomon ruled for 40 more years, but he ruled in peace. You see? David had to whoop a whole lot of ass to get that rulership.
Man.
You see? Which is how the Lord saw it to be fit. You know? But yeah. I would say 80 years of rulership. Half of that was a division.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended in division. But all that's going to be wiped away. Go ahead.
Let me know if this is the one you was talking about. This is Sirach 44 and 22. It says, with Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham, his father's sake. You said this the one?
Yep.
Okay. It says, again, Sirach 44 and 22. With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham, his father's sake, the blessing of all men, and the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob.
You see that? That came in. That I would say that's still in play.
Yeah.
That's still in play. That didn't go away.
Yeah.
You see, we see in a portion of it play out with David and Solomon, but understanding that Jacob and David are synonymous pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's like, imagine, look at all the children. Imagine all the grandchildren, not even just children, but the grandchildren that Abraham had. You know, Genesis 15, yeah, okay. Yahweh Shema Shah made that promise with Abraham, okay. But then it passed down to Isaac, which was only one of several children that he had. And then even more from that, Isaac had two children, Jacob and Esau, right? And then we know it specifically went with Jacob, right? So it says in verse 22, that's even better, I guess. In the middle of verse 22, he acknowledged him in his blessing and gave him an heritage and divided his portions among the 12 tribes did he part them. Yep. So that lets you know, man, that the Lord gave Jacob that blessing, man. Okay, and specifically the head of the 12 tribes is Judah. Okay, which was given, right. Which David, belonged to that tribe, and Yahushua came to that tribe. See, it actually, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that was the point. Made it rest upon the head of Jacob. So let's go back here to 2 Samuel. Oh, did we get all the ones off the comment board already?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go back to 2 Samuel, chapter 18 and verse 7. It says, I'll start at verse 6 again. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, meaning the forest of Ephraim. It says, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David, and there were and there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. So imagine that back then, how many men that was from all the other tribes. And see, the Lord he'll judge you. He'll judge in a crazy way. Imagine those men that gathered themselves together, right, at Hebron, which is down here, okay, and went up to Jerusalem, which is up here, and however, wherever the tribes came from, maybe from all the way up here, Zebulun, Issachar, Manasseh, Ephraim, Dan, Judah, right? They all gathered together, right, to go out to war against David's men, okay? And 20,000 of those men got put to death. Let's see how many of the house of David got put to death, okay, that day. Keep questioning this one. It says, well, it'll go into it later. But really right here, it says the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David. Okay. It says, and there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. For the battle there was scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. And I want to kind of paint the picture because there was three hosts. There were three, basically three separate armies, right? And there was kind of like a scattered. It wasn't just like a big cluster of men all clashing together, like 300. It was scattered over, over longer, a longer wave of people. Because when you go to the the council of not of Ahithophel, but the council of Hushai, right? Remember Hushai's council, who went into this, the last chapter, was basically to comb through the land, right? And kill everybody, right? And so, that obviously was to overthrow Ahithophel's council, because that council probably would have been more likely to work. But of course, the Lord wasn't with Absalom. So, the Lord allowed Absalom to be pretty much persuaded by Hushai, and the whole plan pretty much went to hell. Because again, Hushai was like, "Hey, look, Absalom, you need to go out, and fight with them." You see, remember, Ahithophel, he was like, "Hey, look, let me just choose out 12,000 men. I'm gonna go after David tonight." Remember he said. Remember we read that as a Quan. Well, we got it right here. You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Hey, look, let me just pick out 12,000 men. We're gonna go after David, and we're gonna take him out. You don't even gotta lift a finger." And then, the Lord,
he put that spirit. I'm gonna say he put that spirit on him to lie to him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So he boosted up Absalom's head. So he's like, "Man, you know what? Yeah, man, I'm gonna get the fame. I'm gonna get everybody gonna bow down to me. I'm gonna go out there with these guys. I'm gonna go out there with them. We're gonna comb through."
And you see, when it came to David's men, they were like, "Look, we gonna do whatever you want to do."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and Absalom's men, they were all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
That was set up in the spirit.
Yep. Yep. So, just to kind of give that refresher, that reminder of, pretty much like the day before, you know what I mean? Like this is just all within a short time period. Excuse me. Let me see here. So here we go. Okay. So so here we go. So this is the battle scene. All right. I'll reverse 8 again. Actually, I'm gonna read in the NLT and get the
NLT that thing.
Yes, sir. Okay. 2 Samuel 18:8. It says the battle raged all across the countryside. Okay. And more men died because of the forest than were killed by the sword. So damn, I guess maybe people were, getting jacked up because they weren't used to fighting in the forest. You know what I mean? Maybe, who knows what could have been going on? I don't know, wild animals. Who knows? Who knows
Right.
what could have been going on? You know what I mean?
The Lord was moving.
Yeah. That's interesting. So it says more men died because of the forest. Maybe, who knows? It could be, falling in ditches and breaking their neck, and who knows what type of craziness, was going on when they were in that forest. And let's go back to the KJV. Well, damn, you know what? This does look kind of good. I read these two.
We can do both.
Yeah. I'll keep going a little more in the NLT. 2 Samuel 18:9. It says, during the battle, Absalom happened to come upon some of David's men. So, the battle scattered. It's not just one, big army with Absalom in the middle with riding on the elephant. He on his horse, trying to be all heroic and shit. So he came upon some of David's men, right? It says, and he tried to escape on his mule, but as he rode beneath the thick branches of a great tree, his hair got caught in the tree. So this is an example of the previous verse, right? More
Right.
men, more men
The
died.
brother Yanaga posted, right? The two armies met in the forest of Ephraim. It was a great and terrible battle. The rebel forces were unable to maneuver because of the thickness of the trees,
Mm-hmm.
right? And their numbers were reduced by the underbrush.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's like almost kind of like guerrilla warfare in a sense, because it wasn't just like one big clash of power. It was scattered. You know what I'm saying? And David's armies, they was used to being out there in the field. They was used to living out in tents and shit.
And that was just like when you think about that movie, The 300, the Battle of Thermopylae, the Battle of the Hot Gates. You see, they lured the Persians into that small place. You know what I'm saying? They lured them into that small place because they would have the advantage there.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Go ahead.
Yep. Home field advantage. Okay.
Man, I was watching the Continental. It's the that movie John Wick. It's pretty much a prequel going all the way back to where the old white dude that's helping John Wick. You know what I'm saying? If you into that series, well, it's going back to when he was coming up and put on.
Okay.
Go all the way back to when he was a child. You know what I'm saying? And in that the Continental, you always put yourself in the advantage. You know what I'm saying? I just lost my point why I brought that up. But in that series, it shows how having the advantage is beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You see what I'm saying? You would lead somebody to where you would have the advantage.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. So that's what we see going on here. It says during the battle, Absalom happened to come upon some of David's men. He tried to escape on his mule. So he didn't try to see everything spiritual, man. Like he didn't try to, fight him and kill him. You know what I mean? He was like, oh, shit, I'm outnumbered. Let me turn around. Right. And as he rode beneath the thick branches of a great tree, right, his hair got caught in a tree. So, hey, imagine if he just had a haircut. You know what I mean? That shit wouldn't have happened.
Man, at least had it braided. At least had it cornrowed like Samson.
Yeah, he was trying to be cute, man. Got put to death. Yep. And basically he did that on his own. He what they say, gotta give them enough rope to hang himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? His shit got caught all up in the tree. Right. And it says his mule kept going and left him dangling in the air. So this nigga was literally hanging on a tree branch, Somebody give me some scissors.
Yeah, nigga, edge up bleeding.
Man. Yeah, his jawline didn't give him no extra points that day. His ass was out there hurt. You see? So, and how these, you see two women fighting, and the first thing they do, they grab the hair. You know what I mean? Or if you're lucky enough to fight a dreadhead nigga, well, that's an easy dub for you. All you got to do
Oh, man. I saw this one video where this dude, I mean, when I tell you he dragged this dude by his dreads all up and down, wherever that, because where I'm from, where you clown, you get clowned.
Okay.
You see? When I tell you he grabbed this dude, I'm talking about he just beating the brakes off this dude, dragging him by his hair. I guarantee you that nigga got his haircut after that ass whooping.
Yeah, bro.
I guarantee you.
Yeah, if you got dreads, man, you better have bodyguards walking around 24/7, man.
Man. Or just get a haircut.
Yeah, exactly.
Cut that shit, man.
Yeah. You end up like Absalom, man, spiritually. All right. It says his mule kept going and left him dangling in the air. So there goes his escape route. And basically, when Joab saw it, he pretty much took advantage of it, right? So notice how they didn't just go and kill Absalom. You know what I'm saying? When you read verse 10, it says, one of David's men saw what had happened and told Joab, I saw Absalom dangling from a great tree. Right? Now, show you what type of man Joab is. Okay. Look at his response. It says, what? Joab demanded. You saw him there and did not kill him? I would have rewarded you with 10 pieces of silver and a hero's belt. So Joab was like, man, why you didn't kill this nigga, man? Shoot, that's the whole time. That's the whole reason why we out here. But 10 seconds ago, David was telling specifically, man, Joab was very he was very rash. Like, he did his thing, he conquered Jerusalem, he did this, he did that. You know what I mean? But he had a lot of blood on his hands.
He's a loyal hothead.
Yeah, he was like what they say, a stepper, a shooter. He was like one of them, crazy dudes, And I mean, he was skilled. He was, very, skilled at war, but he wasn't spiritual at all. Right? And it says, verse 12, and I read these two verses and I'll switch back to the KJV. It says, I would not kill the king's son for even 1,000 pieces of silver. The man replied to Joab, right? Which shows you that this man has some integrity. It says, we all heard the king say to you and Abishai and Ittai, for my sake, please spare young Absalom. And if I had betrayed the king by killing his son, and the king will certainly find out who did it, you yourself will be the first to abandon me. See, so he did the right thing. He really did the right thing.
Hell no.
Right.
He said, nah, man. No. He said, man, please. Look,
Yeah.
I heard the king say, have mercy on my son.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, yeah, man. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he did the right thing. Hey, and that's true, because David would have been like, hey, man, yo, Joab killed this nigga. And Joab would have offed his ass. So he did the right thing.
I'm telling you, like it wasn't nothing.
So, all right, continuing on to verse 11, or going back, I should say. I'll read it again in KJV. And Joab said unto the man that had told him, and behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? And I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in thine hand, yet would I not put forth mine hand against the king's son.
Nah, son, I'm not gonna be able to do that one.
Right. It says, for in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, beware that none touch the young man Absalom, otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against mine own life. For there is no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldest have set thyself against me. Verse 14. And then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was still yet alive in the midst of the oak. So Absalom over here getting his scalp, pulled off, right? Still can't get his damn hair untangled from the tree. Maybe he didn't have a dagger with him or some shit, or maybe he's just like, man, whatever happened, he must have got caught up good. I'm trying to imagine you getting held by your hair. You know what I mean?
It's a motherfucker when you get gum in your hair. He had a whole tree upside his shit.
Man, hanging on his shit, bro. This nigga was hanging, bro. Hanging. I didn't even, honestly, bro.
Try to wiggle out that motherfucker.
Bro.
Joe just,
bro.
Yeah, quick. Get him out of here.
Man, if it wasn't for this account, I wouldn't think that it would even be possible to hang by your hair. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Like, I would think that your hair would just rip out of your head, but no, shit, that shit was in there strong.
Yeah.
And so he was hanging there the whole time. They having this whole conversation, arguing back and forth. The whole time this nigga here dangling by his hair. And then here come Joab with three darts. And
Yeah.
The first, so you can't say darts ain't in the scriptures, man. You can't say bullseye ain't in the scriptures.
You know what I'm talking about?
There you go.
He wanted to hit him in his heart. He hit him 3 times in it.
Man, you see? And it says, and 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. So they just put him out of his misery. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even let him bleed out. They were like, all right, shit, time to end this. And verse 16, it says, and Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel. So basically, Joab, the reason why he ignored David's counsel was because he knew that as soon as Absalom was dead, that the revolt was going to be over. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much what happened. Like, you know, even Joab, he really didn't even really want to just continue just killing his own people. Like, he was just like, look, in his own head, he was like, man, you know, if I see that, like, basically after David told him, hey, look, if you see Absalom, spare him, Joab was like, man, shit. You know, he didn't say nothing out loud, but he probably was thinking, man, shit, if I see that nigga, don't let me see that nigga. I'm offing that nigga on sight. We're going to end this shit right here and now. And that's what he did.
He cut the head off the snake.
Yep.
He was out of order. Yeah. He was out of order, but he cut the head off the snake.
Yep. So, and so it says, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. So, you know, that was that. It was like, enough is enough, right? Just like, it kind of reminds me, I think that was was that Abner and Joab? I think this was like chapter 3, 2 Samuel, like chapter 3, where they had that first skirmish. Here, I'll pull it up real quick. Let's see here. Am I in NLT? I'm in the KJV. Okay, Judges. I thought the word sport was in there. Let me see if I can pull it here. 2 Samuel chapter 3. I'm pretty sure it's 2 Samuel either 2 or 3. Yep. Long war. Abner joins David. Okay, it was chapter 2. Civil war. Yep. Abner and then and Joab. Yeah, it was Abner and Joab, and they met by the pool of Gibeon. You know, let the men play before us. And they, okay, it wasn't make sport. Yeah. Abner said to Joab, let the young men now arrive. Because, you know, this was back, you know, basically when, you know, after Saul had died, but there was still that separation between Saul, the house of Saul and the house of David, you know. So even back then, you know what I'm saying? Basically, when you fast forward to at the end of this whole civil war, Joab called for the, you know, right here, verse 28, right? So Joab blew the trumpet and all the people stood still and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they anymore. So same thing. It just made me think of that. Like this verse that we just read in 2 Samuel 18, it made me think of this account back in 2 Samuel chapter 2, where the same thing happened. Joab blew that trumpet and, you know, the two groups of Israelites stopped fighting. Basically, when you continue on in verse 17, it says, and they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood and laid a very great heap of stones upon him, and all Israel fled every one to his tent. Right. So, I mean, he wasn't even buried. He wasn't even buried in the house of his fathers. Absalom was just buried in some random, some random ditch, and they laid a bunch of stones on him, and that was it. So he was, chasing and pursuing, fame and, a great name. He died not only with no children, but with shame, right? Let me get this scripture real quick. He that seeketh his life shall lose it. Maybe I'm spelling it wrong.
What you looking for?
He that seeks his life shall lose it. And okay, here we go. Luke 17 and 33. It says, whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. Yeah. So basically, Absalom was trying to was prioritizing gaining in this life. He was prioritizing, the fame and the just really just having the kingdom, right? He was prioritizing that over everything else, and he ended up losing his life, right?
King David even said that he would have died for Absalom.
Mm-hmm.
You see, meaning that he didn't. That's what I'm saying. He that shall lose his life shall preserve it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you see that dynamic with the son, the father and the son.
Yep.
You see, the son wanted to be more, ended up getting killed. The father wanted to be lesser in that point. Look, I just want my son. I just want to be able to love on my son.
Yep.
You see, and King David was so torn up by the thing to where Joab got offended.
Mm-hmm.
Joab was like, bro, he was trying to kill you. Look at all the shit he was doing, man. You gonna mess around and lose everybody else. Worried about this nigga.
Yep. Yep. that's what chapter 19 goes into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've been going. Let me go ahead and keep going here. In 2 Samuel, chapter 18 and verse 18, it says, "Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. For he said, I have no sons to keep my name in remembrance." I wonder what that word dale means.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look it up and see what we get.
Yeah, it says a valley. Okay, a broad valley. I can pull it up in the Hebrew too. Pillar in the King's Dale. All right. Strong's H6010. Imak. It says valley. Yep. Open country. Prairie land. So just in his father's, piece of his father's land, he just, set up a little pillar or whatever, some little bullshit, right? And he said, for he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called unto this day Absalom's place. So this is a random pillar that was, up, put up in the country land somewhere, and that's it. He didn't really have shit to go, to bring honor to his name. Right. And so it says in verse 19, then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, because remember back a few chapters ago, Zadok, the priest, and there's another priest, they came out, with the Ark of the Covenant and was like, hey, we're going to take the Ark with us. And King David was like, no, put the Ark back. You know what I'm saying? And basically Ahimaaz was the son of Zadok. And then there was another son. I think that actually might have been Hushai. I could be wrong. Actually, no, it was another man. But there was two sons, two priests. Each of them had a son. Ahimaaz was one of them. So basically, when Ahimaaz saw that that Absalom was dead, and he was like, all right, hey, Joab, let me go and tell King David. Let me go back to the city and tell him and bear the king tidings. Right? It says how that the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. And then in verse 20, it says, and Joab said unto him, thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. But the real reason why Joab didn't want Ahimaaz to go tell him was because he feared that basically David would kill him in his wrath, because he specifically told everybody nobody kill Absalom. Right. So if he tells them, hey, we killed Absalom, you know what I'm saying?
Bro, hit him with three darts in his chest, and then buried him under the rocks.
Yeah.
That wasn't the king's order.
Right. Yeah. So, and so you can see why Joab said, you know what, nah, maybe tomorrow, you know what I mean? Anybody pretty much hit it under the guise of, hey, today is a day of grief. We don't got to tell them nothing today.
Check this out. Leviticus 20:9. It says, "For everyone that curses his father or his mother shall be surely put to death.
Mm.
He had cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him."
Mm.
You see, we talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were talking about that earlier. Look, if your parents are that bad, then the Lord is gonna intervene.
Right.
That's not our place. You see, you got all these jakes that grow up mad at their pops because their moms lied or whatever. You see, you got dudes out there that hate their moms.
Right.
You know, that shit ain't right, man. That shit ain't right. Now here it is. Those same parents more than likely probably should have stoned your ass before you even got to be the complete nigga that you turned out to be. They had mercy on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The scriptures talk about how you treat your father when he get old.
Man.
You know?
Yep.
This is an example of it. You know? Go ahead.
Yep. That's right. Okay, so verse 10. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm tripping. I'm over here reading along. Back in 2 Samuel 18 and verse 21. Okay. Then said Joab to Cushai, "Go tell the king what thou hast seen." And Cushai bowed himself unto Joab and ran. Now let's get something on this guy, Cushai, real quick. Okay. Cushai, Strong's H 3569, Kawashia, which we know Cush, that's how you say Cush in the Hebrew is Kawash. Kawashia, like when you say it, like you say a nation and then you have the Yah at the end, it means like it's a Cushite. So like an Israelite would be Yasharalya, an Edomite would be Adawamya, right? A Cushite will be Kawashia. And so it basically means an Ethiopian. And so it says here, one of Joab's couriers. Okay. But it basically is a Cushite. Let's just call a spade, even when you go to the scripture index and you go here, it says the Cushite. Okay, so his name probably wasn't, Cushai, but the scriptures, or maybe that might have been his name, whatever it is. But he was called the Cushite, right? Or that's how the scriptures describe him to be, the Cushite, which is Joab's adjutant, which an adjutant is a assistant, an officer who acts as a military officer who acts as an administrative assistant to a senior officer, also a person's assistant or a deputy. So basically this is, one of Joab's servants, but he was a Cushite. Key point. Okay. And the reason why he sent this guy Cushai there was because if David killed him, hey, it's just the Ethiopian,
Right.
Right. So that's
better him than me.
Yeah. That's why. Well, but and you see how Joab turned down Ahimaaz, right? The priest's son. He turned him down from going. And he said, "Look, we're gonna tell him tomorrow." And then he turned around and said, "Hey, Cushai, hey, go tell the king what you seen." You know what I'm saying? And Cushai, that's why I say he bowed himself, because he's, that was his master in a sense. It says, and he went and ran to the king to tell what he saw. So it says, verse 22, then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, right? So this is the second time that he's coming to Joab. It says, but howsoever, let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushai. He was like, hey, look, I know you just said Cushai, bro. After you just turned me down, let me go and, go after him too. And Joab said, what therefore, And Joab said, wherefore wilt thou run, my son? You see how the distinction of talk, like, the one is, hey, go tell the king what you seen. The other one is saying, hey, look, why you trying to go, bro? Why you gonna go, my son? You don't got no tidings. You see the distinction of conversation between those two. was because basically, Joab didn't want Ahimaaz to be in danger from telling him this news. So I just thought that was an interesting point. It says, "Wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou hast no tidings ready? But howsoever said he, let me run. And he said unto him, run." So Ahimaaz insisted, like, look, bro, let me go talk to the king too. Okay. Because the king knew who Ahimaaz was, right? And he trusted him. So it says, then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overran Cushai. And David sat between two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof, over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked. Behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king. And the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. Right. So remember, Ahimaaz outran Cushai, right? And the reason why Ahimaaz wanted to go and bear the news to the king, even though Cushai was sent to bear the news, was basically because Ahimaaz was, trying to break it to him softly. You know what I mean? Of what happened, because he knew that, the king commanded not to put his son to death, right? And so when you read verse 26, it says, and the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called unto the porter and said, behold, another man running alone. And the king said, he also bringeth tidings. All right, verse 27. So, whenever you had, like back in the day, especially during war, you had somebody running alone, running straight to the, they running and shit. That's there was no text messages. There was no, you had to, they was giving report back of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It says, and the watchman said, methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, right? Hey, like the scripture say, you can tell a man. Let me see if I can pull that real quick, by his speech and by his gait.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can spell that right. Yeah, Sirach 19 and 30. I'm gonna pull this one up real quick. Yeah, here we go. Sirach 19 and 30. Okay. Let's see here. Yep. Sirach 19 and 29. It says, a man may be known by his look, and one that hath understanding by his countenance when thou meetest him. See, like whenever you pass a group of niggas, you can always tell. I mean, of course, nowadays they got face tattoos and all this, but you can see the demons in their eyes, even with, like, when they come up, to the camp, you can tell, oh shit, this guy gonna come across the street, he finna go come talking smack.
Yep.
You can just tell just by the way he walking, he got demons on him, or the way that when they come up to the camp and they listen, their facial expressions, how they communicate. It says a man's attire and excessive laughter and gait show what he is. And gait is basically the way that he walked. You know what I'm saying? Person's manner of walking. So anyway.
I'll say you could tell by looking at a man and all those different things, whether he's a man or a goofball.
Right. Yep. So it says verse 27. In the middle of verse 27, and the king said, he is a good man and cometh with good tidings. See? So the king knew, okay, Ahimaaz, that's the son of the king. He gonna bring some good news. It says in verse 28, and Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, all is well. You see? The first thing he said was like, hey, it's all good. You know what I mean? But really, it wasn't all good. Right? It says, and he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king and said, blessed be the Lord, Yahweh, thy power, which hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king.
Man, including your son.
Right. But you see how he started off with a blessing. He said, "Hey, look, blessed be the Lord." You know what I'm saying? He delivered you from those men that were trying to kill you. And then the first thing that King David said, and the king said, "Is the young man Absalom safe?" Right? That's all. That was the main thing he cared about.
Mm-hmm.
And the him then now see what Ahimaaz said. He said, and Ahimaaz answered, when Joab sent the king's servant and me, thy servant, right? He's talking about himself. I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. But really, he did know what it was, but he was just trying to ease into the conversation.
He trying to pour syrup on shit and call it pancakes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And he was trying to ease into it, right?
Yeah,
he knew.
Don't spit in my face and say it's raining.
Right. Yeah. Which who's to say he wasn't going to get around to it, but he knew that he was deflecting. You know what I mean? Right. That was the first thing he's going to ask you, like, "Hey, look, I just, what I mean? I just saw all this shit going on. You know what I mean?" And the king said, "All right, look, just post up. You know what I'm saying? There's this other dude coming. We're going to hear what he got to say." Right. So verse 30, and the king said to him, "Turn aside and stand here." And he turned aside and stood still. Right. And it said, and behold, Cushai came, and Cushai said, "Tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord Yahweh hath avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee." So even the other nations knew, Yahweh, that's the Lord, and that's the power that was dealing with David. Even the other nations knew that, right? In verse 32, it says, "And the king said unto Cushai, Is the young man Absalom safe?" And Cushai answered, "The enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is." So
all of them dead.
Yep. And he didn't spare no words. He didn't beat around the bush. And that was what Ahimaaz was trying to avoid, just kind of blurting it out like that, because he didn't want to cause a scene. But that's just how the Lord had it happen. In verse 33, the last verse, it says, "And the king was much moved," meaning he was, he got emotional, right? And went up to the chamber over the gate. He went back to his room and wept. And as he went, thus he said, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, my son, would God I have died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son." Right? And so that was like a major, moment for David, that, he realized he was still getting judged for what he did, with Bathsheba and them, and that's pretty much the end of the chapter. So let's see what precepts we got on the comment board. Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, brother brought that one out. He was trying to evade. Yeah, he's trying to be evasive of the situation. Yeah, and like even when you go into the commentary, right? We can get a little bit of the commentary real quick. Mm-hmm. Let's go into this verse or chapter. What was that? 18. Yeah, this paragraph right here, the second to last one, it says, "Not knowing how best to break the news of Absalom's death to David, Joab sent an African slave in case the king reacted violently and killed the bearer of bad news. But Ahimaaz, knowing that David would become overcome with grief, persuaded Joab to send him as well." It says Ahimaaz arrived first and tried to break the news to David softly. See, that's why he overran, because Ahimaaz went after Cushai. He
said, but when the African arrived,
yeah, right. but when the Ethiopian, the Hamite, when the African arrived, he told David bluntly that Absalom was dead. He was like, he ain't got no salt anyway. Like, yeah, he's dead. Mission accomplished, right, King? And then David was like, man, he was. It says what? Uncontrolled grief, right? David's uncontrolled grief over the death of Absalom created dissatisfaction among those who had risked their lives to save him, and pretty much that's what chapter 19 goes into.
Check out, anointing refreshes. Romans 2:11. It says, "For there is no respect of persons with the Most High." So as much as David loved his son and didn't want him to be put to death, the Heavenly Father already said you got to honor your parents. You didn't honor your parents. You murdered your brother. You did all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You popped your wife. You popped your dad's concubines. You see? So as much as David loved his son, the Lord was like, this nigga gotta fucking go. You see? And I tell brothers that all the time. Look, we love our children, our sons and our daughters, but they might not be in the truth. You got to accept that. You got to understand that. Right. You got plenty of accounts of men of the Lord who had kids or who had children that were out of fucking pocket.
That's right.
You know? You can't love Israel more than the Lord did.
Right.
The Lord gave you that son that you love so much. Yep. And he out of pocket. Mm-hmm. So the Lord said, you know what, Absalom, you come up here and you sit your ass up. You come up here and you sit your ass by me. You know how nigga be on the fast break. Mm-hmm. Nigga be on the fast break and pull up and shoot a 3. And the coach be like, nigga, bring your ass here, man. Hell no, we ain't doing that.
Yeah. Or you right? Dunk.
You missed the dunk. Then you see that dude that's high stepping from the 50-yard line and shit, and he dropped the ball on the 2. Mm-hmm. And it's ended up not being a touchdown. Nigga, come sit your ass down. You're doing too much.
Okay.
To make it plain. We got a couple more precepts on the comment board.
Okay.
All right. Let's see.
You want to do this one? Okay.
Yeah. You can pull them up.
Okay. Yeah. Joab 4:7. It says, remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off?
You see that?
Yep.
You see that? David was so caught up in his emotions, he didn't even, you know what I'm saying? Bro, Absalom was supposed to be put to death. Mm-hmm. So the Lord put him to death.
Yep. And it wasn't no easy one either.
You know?
Yep. That's from the brother Yanagah Israel Benjamin 144. Also verse 8. It says, even as I have seen that they plow iniquity and sow wickedness, reap the same.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Just like the Elder Manatazakba always say, you do dirt, you get dirt. Mm-hmm. Period. He did dirt, he got dirt. Go ahead.
Yep. Anointed refreshings. Put Exodus 20:12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua thy power has given thee. It says, we already got the Leviticus 20.
I would say precepts or commandments. Mm-hmm. When you look up the word precept, the word commandment comes up in the definition. Mm-hmm. You see? So if I say get that commandment in Exodus 20:12, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Pull that precept. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Okay.
You got it.
Yep. I'll get this last one here from GMS. Must endure 144K Ba, Zephaniah 3:5. It says, the just Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doeth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. Right?
You know what I'm saying? That's why the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. You see? I did a lesson earlier when they was talking about Rome and being reincarnated as Babylon the Great, as being America, and it was talking about it's so many people that don't give a damn, mm-hmm. that let you know that you at the end of a rulership. When nobody cares, that kingdom is going down.
Man, real, God, seriously, man. So that lets you know, man, that and these are the stories that we should be reading to our children. Like this should be stories that we should have been coming up on, not no damn Humpty Dumpty and right. Hansel and Gretel and all this
Santa Claus punk ass.
Yeah, so
fucking Cupid.
The Tooth Fairy and all this bullshit.
You know what I'm saying? Martin Luther King Day and Juneteenth and all this fuckery.
Yeah. Halloween, that shit's coming up. Tomorrow's Friday the 13th. You know, Demon
Day. Boy, yeah, you already know camp is gonna be something else tomorrow. Lord willing, we there.
Man, God. But hey, that's all I have, Zaquan. I don't know if you
Me too, man. The water for the Akibo, the comment board. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Akibo Aqua. You know, the water for the participation, man. You know, but Lord willing, that was edifying. We're gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. You know, with that, we want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the Mayan Wa Amak. That's in sincerity and truth. Shalom.
Shalom.